Marlins Director of Baseball Operations, Vinesh Kanthan, to the Marlins Hot Stove Show. Vinesh, Stephen Strom here. Congratulations on an incredible season last year in Texas. I appreciate the time. How's Miami treating you?
So far so good. A little different weather than Texas, but I am adjusting.
Very good. So let's start with the obvious here. Why Miami? Why the move now? And why did it all make sense?
Yeah. It was a couple things. I had a really, really good 5 years in Texas. Was not necessarily looking to leave at all. But then when Peter called, this opportunity was just one really hard to pass up. A lot of opportunity here, a lot of good people already here, and just the ability to help come in and build infrastructure. But I also thought it was just cool. Peter and I was an intern in Tampa in 2017 and 2018. Knew Peter a bit. He was a director, but it's not like we were best friends or anything. But for someone who you worked with that many years ago to feel like you had grown into a role where you could handle this, said a lot about the situation too. So putting a lot of trust in Peter and his vision, yeah, just couldn't pass that up.
We talked to Gabe Kapler yesterday or on the previous show, and he said that he didn't have any plans of being in baseball. He talks to Peter. All of a sudden, he's with the Marlins. You talk to Peter. What is it about him, his vision, that is very enticing to join him?
Peter's one of the smartest people I've been around, and I'm not just saying that because he's my boss. But the way he looks at problems, and I'll tell a story. When I was an intern, so I reported to the director of baseball ops. He was traveling with the team. I was having a problem with a little coding issue, so I didn't really know who to go to. I decided to go to Peter, and I explained the problem. He looked at me, asked me about 10 seconds worth of questions, opens up his computer, and then walks through exactly how I should do it, all within about half a minute. And he said,
Wow.
I want you to do this. If you run into any trouble, just come back and ask for help. I'm here, but you need to learn how to do this. So I went back. His steps were perfect, easily able for me to execute. And anyone that knows me knows I'm not a great coder. But to be able to take a situation, boil it down, be very succinct, and then provide solutions, that's something I gravitate to a lot. And there's not many people like Peter who can bring it down to such a simple level and just communicate at that high of a level. And then just the person,
Yeah.
overall, great human being, cares about people, very personable. You can't really get much better than that.
Vinesh Kanthan with us now, the new Miami Marlins Director of Baseball Operations, joining the Marlins Hot Stove Show. Let me get this correct here. You went to Rutgers in 2016. You then interned in ticket sales with the Phillies. And, you fast forward, you're now 7 years later, a director of baseball operations. Give us the middle. We always see the finishing end of the story, but can you talk a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, a lot of people who believed in me. So yes, graduated Rutgers in 2016. I double majored in biotechnology and sport management. I thought the sport management piece would be what got me into sports. It was more the biotechnology, just unique kind of background. Yeah, when I was in school, I ended up being a student recruiting assistant with the Rutgers football team. John Park, who's with the Cowboys now, brought me on after I met him at Sloan Analytics Conference in Boston, just randomly. I was also interning for the ticket office at Rutgers, and then I was interning for the Phillies. So I would drive down 2, 3 days a week, stay in Philly, answer some phones for the evening, go back home, South Jersey,
How
sleep
far
at
was
my
that drive?
parents' house. The drive from Rutgers was about 90 minutes without traffic.
Wow.
The drive back home was about an hour. So I'd stay at home. My parents were happy to see me. My brother was happy to see me. And then I'd drive back up to school those next mornings.
Wow. Athletes have guys they look up to or just figures that they look up to. Who is your person or anyone in sports in particular that you were like, all right, I want to be like this person, and this was sort of my inspiration?
Um, I think just generally enjoying sports for a really long time. I just was gravitated towards wanting to be a part of that.
Yeah.
Um, Last year I was sitting in the suite with John Daniels, or 2 years ago, I guess, and we were just watching a game, and I said, you know how crazy this is? Like, I saw your name on the ticker growing up and being like, hey, I want to be that guy, you know? So I don't think it's necessarily like one specific person, but more so just seeing GMs, high level executives just do the job and do it, consistently for a long time. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, like I told JD that day, it was like the fact that I'm sitting next to you talking about baseball, watching a game less than 15 years later is truly humbling, right? So I think it was that dream and just gravitating towards if that was a possibility, which I think if you told me at any point I'd be in this situation, I'd say no way.
Mm.
But I think that's how it is for a lot of people, right?
A couple more minutes here with Vinesh Kanthan, the new Miami Marlins director of baseball operations. You need to explain to me right now your roles in sports science and analytics. For morons like me, can you kind of dummy that down and explain to the audience what exactly that is and what you plan on doing here?
Yeah, so R&D analytics, I can't explain that well because I was a pretty mediocre analyst, as referred to when I said I wasn't very good at coding. So we'll remove that aside for some smarter people.
Yep.
Sports science, I'd basically say, is kind of like tech development. So you have business development and then there's tech development. So vetting different technologies or products that can help either systems, players, processes. I think a lot of people look at that by way of a like Aura ring that you're looking at to track sleep or something like that. Maybe a heart rate monitor, maybe some GPS tracking. But there's other things that go into sports science, like, hey, let's look at sprint speed or how a bat works or how the equipment we use works. And then let's take it towards other processes like this thing we're doing internally. How well are we doing it? Is there a product that could help us with employee hiring that can expedite that or give us more layers to things? So I kind of look at sports science as the tech side for performance and just helping other departments do things at higher levels than maybe they currently do.
All right, let's talk about the Miami Marlins as a team. What excites you about 2024 coming into this year?
All of it. Team that made the playoffs, a young team, a good group of guys. I haven't been around too many people yet, still trying to learn all the faces and names, but from the ML staff side, just Skip and the group have been very welcoming. It's really cool to see a group who's open to new ideas, new people, and want you to be a part of what they've already built. So just continuing to help and build that, I'm very excited about.
All right, let's lighten this thing up. What are some of the things that you do outside of baseball? It's 162 games. Your job never stops. What are some of the things where you sort of feel like a human being?
Yeah, not much time for that these days. I really like comic books, so just watching like Marvel, DC movies, TV shows. I've liked those since I was a kid. When I would travel last year with the team in Texas, I would just find random comic book shops and go to on the road. So kind of get away from that. A lot of people have asked me about pickleball. I enjoy pickleball. I grew up a tennis player, so I was a little bit stuck up in converting, but I did and like to play that a lot, although I don't have as much time lately. So those would be the two things that come to mind at
Have you
first.
played pickleball down here? Have
I
you gotten
haven't
out there
yet,
yet?
not yet. I will at some point. Maybe I hear spring training, we're going to get a pretty good group together. So
Mm-hmm.
it'll be good.
Very good. If you had to grade your pickleball skills, where you think you're at? B, B plus?
I'd say solid B,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. When you put me against like pros and high level players, I don't stand a chance, but against the common person, I do okay.
And your favorite tennis player growing up? Who was your guy or girl?
Yeah, so Andre Agassi when I was a little kid, and then Rafael Nadal. That's my guy. You can ask anybody about that. And then lesser known name David Ferrer, another Spanish guy,
Mm.
relatively short, like 5'8", 5'9". So I always appreciated a smaller guy being able to compete in a tall man's game.
Dinesh, this was awesome, and I really appreciate you joining me and carving out time. I know you're a busy man. Thank you again for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for the time. Really appreciate it.